Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's session, Breaking Down Silos and Creating Customer Wow, Design and Run Customer Journeys all in one. I would now like to hand this over to start introducing our presenters today. Guy, to you.
Thank you, Brianna. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining. Thanks for logging in from home or work, or home and work is the same thing these days. My name is Guy Nirpaz. I'm the CEO and founder of Totango. And I'm here today with Sean White, who is the SVP of Customer Success at Dynatrace. So Sean, I'll give you in a second a minute to introduce yourself, but this is going to be a very exciting session about a journey. So I'm going to interview Sean. I know some of the answers already, but I'm still very curious with Sean's answer. So Sean, why don't you introduce yourself and your company?
Great. So I'm Sean White, our Vice President of Global Customer Experience at Dynatrace. And we have a couple slides here that'll actually walk you through how we've defined a customer experience at Dynatrace in a second. So at Dynatrace, just as a quick blurb here, we all know that digital transformation is happening everywhere. We've heard it today, we heard it at the opening keynote, and it's changing fundamentally how we do everything we do in our businesses. And at Dynatrace, we understand that the technology that's used to empower that digital transformation is becoming really complex. In fact, someone argues becoming impossible to manage. And at Dynatrace, when we thought about this from a customer experience perspective, as well as a product perspective, we said, well, a lot of times companies try to stitch together different teams, different groups, different technologies to make it all work. And we thought of a different way. We thought of, well, what if we can have a simpler all-in-one solution to make this complexity simple? And that's what we did at Dynatrace with our product. Our software intelligence platform simplifies the management of these complex multi-cloud, hybrid cloud, different technologies into one. And we asked ourselves, well, what if we could take the same kind of concepts that we use to build this next generation platform to provide advanced observability into the post-sales customer experience? What if we took Agile, the same concept of Agile, and applied those to the post-sales customer experience? And Guy, would you like me to go a little further, or do you want to?
Yeah, no. So I think
so I'll pause there.
You know, that's great, because I think what you're basically saying, there's a core concept here of breaking silos, so cross-functional model, and agility as the operating model. And we'll talk more about this, but maybe like a step back. You know, you guys have started accelerating in this direction quite significantly. What was the motivation? What drove the change?
Sure, that's a great question. You know, as I mentioned earlier, that what we've experienced working with our customers in this very complex technical environment, we said, well, gosh, how do we manage and support customers in this complex environment? And using a traditional approach to supporting customers in this traditional siloed way, we just realized it wasn't going to work. In fact, we know that because we tried it for years. And we realized that because we've had different organizations with different objectives, oftentimes it breeds different cultures, that customers have different experiences based upon who they ask help to.
So you're saying that the key driver was the customer experience was not good enough,
That's right.
Was not consistent, and it was very hard to kind of bring everyone on the same page. So you had to centralize this organization, and that's kind of how you've started structuring this.
That's right. And you know, a great example of this is, and I'm sure you've experienced this because you also probably buy software, right? It's sometimes you need to go get help. And if you ask a support team, say, hey, can I get help? Oftentimes they're very quick to respond. They're very professional. And then when they think it's solved, they close a ticket and they said, if you need help, open a new ticket. And if you go to a services organization that says, I need help, a services team will be excited to take your business. They'll say, sign a contract, $250. Oh, and by the way, I'm not available for another 2 to 4 weeks because I got to finish a project. And the customer's sitting there saying, I just need help. If they go to a salesperson, well, oh my gosh, salesperson's going to try to understand, well, what's the big opportunity? How can I dig deeper? And again, the person's just saying, I need help, folks. And that's the experience we're all used to. That's the experience that our customers were experiencing. And we said, well, no, at the end of the day, the customer just needed help. And as a SaaS business, I know, and you know, as a SaaS business, that if I can provide them help and show them value, then all that other stuff, the growth, sales, all that stuff, was going to come. So that's what motivated us.
Got it. And from, let's say, organizational buy-in perspective, clearly, Dynatrace is a very large and successful organization, growing super, super fast in one way. How did you kind of navigate, or who navigated this idea of centralizing customer experience success organization? How did that work?
Yeah, so that's a good question. As I mentioned, when Dynatrace, looked to reinvent ourselves, we started with our R&D organization. We built a new platform from the ground up, and we changed the way we build software. And we looked at that organization and says, well, gee, if they were able to transform something that quickly, and today, I know you guys are just as agile, delivering 26 major releases every single year, every 2 weeks, putting major functionality out there. Well, that's a challenge just in the organizational and operational side. Well, we said, well, gee, if they can do it, then how do we take those same learned lessons from there? And the two core things that you see in Agile is you breaking down those silos. It's not just organizational silos, it's also what motivates them, the objectives that they have. And in our case, it was also organizational objectives. And then the other one, which you see very well embodied in Agile teams, is this ability to learn and embrace change. Organizations all the time talk about, well, we're risk takers and we embrace change. And the reality is most human beings don't do change really well. They have whole courses on this called Change Management 101 they teach in universities. But one of the things that we took from our R&D organization, and actually we had our CTO participated in the earliest development of this program to help bring those cultural ethos into the team of really experimenting and learning through change. And the biggest complaint I get from the team is there's too much change. And I think that's actually a sign that you're doing a good job here, that you're introducing a lot of change. Now, of course, you have to manage the change, making sure that people are on board and supportive of it. But for us, that's how we learn.
Yeah, so it's clear, you're right that, breaking the silos in many, many iterations, and every iteration is not just incremental improvement of the previous version, it also an opportunity for learning what worked, what didn't work, what can we improve to the next iteration. And that, I came from agile software development for years, and I think we've applied a lot of that into how we do business in Totango, how we work with customers, and how we build our product. But I know you had, quite of a unique journey, rapid growth, kind of setting up the idea and then building an organization to support that. So can you share a little bit of that as well?
Yeah, it's good. So, on this slide is an interesting slide. There's actually an animation that goes with it if we were able to show it remotely. But you saw how I had the position of those silos vertically. What we said is, well, what if we literally flipped it on its side? And that's what we did. We flipped all those organizations on its side. We took those same skill sets and put them in cross-functional squads. And those cross-functional squads were accountable to a set of customers and were aligned around 3 objectives. And those 3 objectives, very easily stated, were right there in the bottom, was product value, was adoption. So actually what we call Dynatrace value, or the promise, product adoption, and then meaningful relationships with our customers. Now, that needs to spawn across the entirety of all of those organizations, all those groups. Tell this technical support engineer that I need you to have a meaningful relationship with your customer when they got a queue of 20 tickets they're trying to support. Not an easy challenge there. And I'll tell you, this is a journey. This was 3 years ago that we embarked this, and we're not anywhere complete to it today. And we've rapidly grown, as I mentioned in the next slide I'll show. But what we did is we brought all these teams together, aligned around these objectives, breaking down these silos. And not only did customers tell us, wow, this is a better experience because I'm interacting with a team that sort of understands me and is unified in their objectives, but the team members actually were aligned. Again, we're not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but we know where their alignment is. And a couple of simple things that we've done is we said, well, what are our priorities as a team? And we said, well, it's very simple, protect revenue, right? Protect customers churning, and influence growth.
We have a question. How did you incorporate customer education into your customer experience?
That's great. So we at Dynatrace have a number of both digital and real-time, human engagement kind of learning paths. So we have a solution called Dynatrace University that provides micro-learning, video training it's based on playlists and sort of customer maturity. So we have that approach. But we also did with this program that we call Dynatrace One, which is the name of the team of this cross-functional team brought together across all these disciplines. The idea being one experience, one team. We have an offering that we created called Dynatrace One Premium. And this is where it's generally for our larger or mid to larger accounts, where we actually pair up one of our technical product specialists and does weekly coaching. It's a subscription-based offering, and there's weekly coaching that they get that's based on the journey that the customer's on. And this is in combination with both the digital learning that we give them through our university program, leveraging the capabilities of our in-product assistance or chat, now powered with Totango, to provide digital onboarding and provocations, and then also with the personalized coaching sessions.
Yeah. So Sean, I've been to this W for several years now, and I think you look at you actually called your team customer experience. You didn't call it customer success, and
right.
You look at it in a much more holistic way. I mean, I guess this question about education just kind of reminds me that your approach is much broader than onboarding team, adoption team, and retention team. So, expand a little bit about what drove you to this perspective, and why do you think that the job that you do is customer experience, and
Sure.
why didn't you call it customer success?
Yeah, sure. So we ultimately, we started out by saying we wanted to tear down the silos that existed between these teams, and we wanted to create a unified identity in this entire organization that said, we are in this together. We might have different skills, but we are one team, hence why we call ourselves Dynatrace One. And then we said, well, what are our objectives? And we had aligned around those objectives, again, relationships, adoption, and value. And that became the mantra.
Did you do this remote, by the way, or did you do this?
In the last year, we've had to do it remotely. We've doubled the size of our team during the pandemic. And that's been exciting, but incredibly challenging. But it was really around that need, and frankly, it's a cultural shift that we had to create in the organization. It's not just an organizational one or a technology one, but a cultural one that brings the teams together and align around customer outcome. So that's why we said, well, how do we best do this? And we took our technical experts and our account management functions and brought them together in one organization.
And was there any meaning of why you called it customer experience as a practice versus customer success, or this is what just, does it represent something bigger, do you think?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, it does represent something bigger, right? We think at the end of the day that it's the experience that the customer has with the product, with every interaction they have with our customer or with our team.
And the outcomes.
And the outcomes that they have, right? So it's the experience they have across that entire journey. And I think in this industry, when we think customer success, we think customer success manager and a set of adoption and those kinds of things. And we want to say much bigger than that, thinking about this as the entirety of a customer journey with us.
Yeah, I like it a lot. I think it's true, right? There's been, we have this slide at the back, but there was a recent Gartner research about the core for customer success is defining the customer journey. So, I support this idea very much. So tell us a little bit about the scale.
We have a question. What elements did you design into the software to help reduce your customer churn?
So in our software, so we have, actually it's interesting, it's one of the things that actually appealed our organization to Totango is we focus on simplicity, ease of use, rapid time to value, adaptability across the board. And so, one of the things that we think sets Dynatrace apart from our competition is just the simplicity and ease of use, the automated aspects of deploying our software, having it automatically discover all that auto configuration stuff so that our customers can focus more of their time on their innovation and their business and their outcomes and not on managing a tool. And so we built it in the product first. That was key. And then we took our organization and said, well, how can we empower that? Right? It's as I mentioned in the opening, it's a pretty complex technology we have, a complex environment we have. And so we know that even though it's easy to use, just like a huge customer base, just like your Apple iPhone's easy to take photos with, you just push a button and it does the rest, but you're not going to go and be asked to do photograph a wedding tomorrow, right? So you need professional expertise to assist you in that journey. And so that's where our team came in. And specifically, and we'll talk about this here in a second, is we've put together a very prescriptive, what I call a continuous prescriptive onboarding journey that doesn't end. Oftentimes people think onboarding is, well, I get you through a 9 to 12-week program, you know how to use a product, ready to move on, right? We took a fundamentally different approach to that.
And I think I know that you instrument everything, so you have full instrumentation of your product.
Full visibility into
you
customer
have
usage.
Various widgets in the product itself that allow to access for videos and information, and even chat with support, and you even do this proactively, meaning that suggesting interaction based on instrumentation that you're having. So I think that answers some of the topics of this question.
Well, there was one fundamental thing that we've done that's technology and team level, and I think this might help answer the question a little bit better, is when customers need help, right, they oftentimes go to a help page. They might start out in Google, lands them on a help page, right? And then when that doesn't answer their question, oftentimes we force them to go to some other website, fill out a form, open up a ticket, and wait. Right? Like that'd be incredibly frustrating. I spent 30 minutes looking for some information, didn't have it. I got to go fill out another form in a particular format I don't like, and now I wait. Right? We said that can't be a great experience at all. And so we took our technical experts in the product and put them inside the product. This is our live, what you call it chat. I don't like the word chat. That's no value in it, but it's real-time expert assistance or in-product assistance. So we've taken our support and enablement functions in the product available to all customers. And we have an internal SLA that we will respond within 2 minutes. Today, we average 1.5 minutes. Now imagine the experience there of a customer saying, I need help. They don't have to fill out a form. They're right in the product. They don't have to leave the product, go to Google to search something. It's in the product. They ask for help. They get an answer in 1.5 minutes. And we use those moments to actually, we call those micro engagements, where they become little mini consulting engagements.
Yeah, that's obviously a great experience, but how do you, from a capacity perspective, how do you support that?
Today we have about 8,000 chats a month, and that's very difficult to support. We provide that 24/7 for our premium customers. It's not easy to do, but we've employed different technologies to make it scalable, easy, routing, prioritization, those kinds of things. And then we also, because we have all this data, we can analyze the data, what kind of questions our customers asking, and then hopefully we'll try to solve it in the product, right? And so we have actually built a team that works with our R&D and product team every 2 weeks, I think it is. They get together, they look at our data in our chat and ticket, and then they provide feedback. So we have this feedback loop that's embedded with our R&D organization to make the product easier.
That's another agile incremental improvement loop that, so basically you're saying every chat leads to better products.
That's right. That's right.
Excellent.
I mean, we had a crazy idea that we would never let a ticket close until there was a product idea that came from it. That's a lot, but we're trying to figure out how best to scale that.
That's a good